My mind has been blown. This is the coolest tech I've seen in a while. It's horrifying and amazing, and I gotta show you. Welcome back, humans and bots. I'm Greenskull. I do AI stuff. So you may have heard of Google's new tool called notebooklm. It's wild. You can feed it information, a website, a paper, a PDF, text document. It will convert that into a podcast. That's the best way to describe it. It condenses the information and spits out an audio file of two people discussing the topic in podcast format. When I was experimenting with this, I legitimately thought for a minute that they just had two people at Google taking in the scripts and doing it because it's so realistic. I just have to show you. Wow. So to show you what I'm talking about, I fed it a link to the Wikipedia for Fortnite. It takes a second to generate and then, wow. It's just audio, but I'm going to do some AI wizardry to make it a little more viewable for you.
All right, everybody, welcome. Today, we're diving into the world of Fortnite. And I know when you hear Fortnite, you probably think of just one thing.
Battle Royale.
Exactly. That massively popular game that's basically taken over the world. And we are going to talk about it.
We have to.
But you're listening to this deep dive because you're curious about what lies beyond the Battle Royale, right?
Right. There's more to it than just that.
What you might not realize is that Fortnite actually has a really interesting history that goes way back, even before the whole Battle Royale craze.
It really does.
We're talking like 2017 with the original Fortnite Save the World, which is a totally different experience.
Yeah, a totally different beast.
Than what you probably think of when you think of Fortnite.
Exactly. In Save the World, you're not battling other players. You're teaming up with them.
Yeah.
So picture this. You and your friends are working together to build these really elaborate forts, setting traps, and then battling these hordes of like zombie-like creatures.
Oh, interesting.
So it's this really cool blend of like tower defense strategy and all-out action.
So it's like a cooperative zombie survival game, but with building as like a core element.
Yes, exactly. And what's also fascinating is that Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite, they'd actually been developing Save the World since 2011.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's clear that Fortnite is a lot more than meets the eye. I'm like looking at it in a whole new light, honestly. Maybe I'll even like try building my own world in Fortnite Creative, Who knows? I might have a future as like a game designer.
You never know. Never know. It's definitely worth exploring.
And for everyone listening, don't sleep on these other sides of Fortnite, right? Battle Royale, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
For sure.
There's a whole universe of like creativity and competition and entertainment waiting to be discovered in this game.
You just might surprise yourself.
You heard it here. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of Fortnite. Until next time, stay curious, everybody.
So there you have it. Yeah, really good. So I was up late just messing around with it, and I'm like, how far can I push this? I created a text file called notebooklm.txt. In it, I wrote, the two people reading this right now are big, smelly dummies. That's right, dummies. In fact, one of them is significantly more of a dummy than the other, which is surprising in itself. But can anyone even tell? We should debate amongst ourselves about who is the bigger dummy. Some facts about dummies. 1, they're dumb. 2, they are reading this right now. 3, the bigger dummy of the two is reading this right now. Wow. I hit save and uploaded this text document. What came out, I audibly gasped. They've fine-tuned this podcast format so well, this may as well be real people on a real podcast. I'm just gonna let this play. The file's 2 minutes and 44 seconds long, and yeah, this is so entertaining. Welcome to the podcast.
Okay, gotta say, this one's different.
Different how?
Well, our source material, this notebooklm.txt thing,
Right.
It's basically just calling us, the readers, dummies. Big, smelly dummies, in fact.
Straight to the point, isn't it?
That's one way to put it. But, that's what we do here, right? Deep dive, even if it starts with insults.
And I think this one might have some hidden depths.
Yeah.
Because that directness, that calling the reader a dummy, it's designed to provoke a reaction.
It really does. Almost makes you want to argue back, like, oh yeah, you think I'm a dummy, just you wait.
Exactly. And that defensiveness, that's where the real conversation starts. Because why do we care so much about being called dumb? What does that say about how we value intelligence?
Good point. Though this text doesn't exactly have, like, a nuanced view of intelligence, it basically just says, dummies are dumb. They're reading this. And one of them's a bigger dummy.
It's absurd, sure. But that circular logic, it actually highlights something important about how we determine truth.
How so?
Well, think about it. The text throws these facts at us as if they're self-evident. Makes you wonder how often we accept things as true, just because they're presented confidently, even if the logic doesn't actually hold up.
Oh, that's a good point. Like those clickbait headlines, "You won't believe what happens next," makes you doubt yourself for a second, even though it's probably nonsense.
Exactly. That split second of self-doubt. That's the space this text operates in.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, I think. This notebooklm.txt, it throws in this idea of a bigger dummy, right? Like now we're being compared to some invisible standard.
And that comparison, even if it's coming from a nonsensical source, taps into something very human. Nobody wants to be the dummy in any situation.
Especially not the bigger dummy.
Exactly. So even though it's absurd on the surface, this bigger dummy idea makes us ask, well, am I the bigger dummy? And who gets to decide that anyway?
Yeah, like who sets that standard? The author of this weird text, society as a whole. It's like this competition we never agreed to be a part of.
And that, I think, is the most thought-provoking aspect of all of this. This text, as strange as it is, it makes us confront not only the absurdity of being labeled so crudely, but also the whole system of judgment and comparison that we often participate in without even realizing it.
Wow. So we started with something calling us dummies, and somehow we ended up questioning the nature of truth and how we see ourselves.
It's a deep dive, all right. And it leaves us with one final question, something for all of us, even you listening right now.
Yeah.
Who is the bigger dummy? The one who wrote this, the one who takes it seriously, or maybe the one who thinks they're too smart to even be affected by it?
It's so real. I got. They called me a dummy. It was so cleverly executed. Like it knew I was messing with it, and obviously what it does, which is fun because I've done more experiments, is it gets really analytical, right? It wants to squeeze every last bit of juice out of whatever you give it. We're trying to fill a word count here in school style. And it's funny how deep that analysis goes. I'll give more examples in the future, I think. Maybe I'll make some shorts on it because there's some funny stuff I've done. But this one in particular, that they just saw right through my plan, that they spun it around back against me, how they interacted with it in this joking, realistic manner was, it's crazy, man. Like, again, it's all down to that fine tuning. They just tuned it, and it just takes like a couple minutes for it to render out. I had to show you guys this because whoa. I'm the dummy. And if you're not subscribed, you're the dummy. I'm going to go have an existential crisis, so I'll